Richard back in. It's a beautiful Thursday evening, 77 degrees in Amarillo. We got the doors open and boy are we enjoying it. We got Jordy's 2006 Chevy truck all the way from Louisiana. These people were determined to come down here and get me to fix his truck. They drove down here, caught an Uber back to the airport, got a plane and flew all the way home. He brought his wife down here. They enjoyed the trip, the scenery all the way to Texas. Glad for him to come down and see us. We're going to do an extensive overhaul on this tranny on this thing. We're going to make it try to make it totally bulletproof. So it's going to be fun to do. You can see it's got big tires on it and stuff like that. It's going to be a job. So I'm excited. We got the Corvette tranny almost out. We got all billet shafts in for it. It's been coming in day by day. We're trying to get everything going. We got Trent pulling the standard out of the Dodge down here for our triple disc or double disc clutch assembly that he's in our earlier video. We're trying to get the Dirty Bird cleaned up for the race, but let's see what we got here. Got all of our tools laid out that we're going to be needing, I believe. I noticed it's got a really good rear main seal leak. See here. We'll pull the tranny out, look at that, probably change the cover, the gasket behind it, and the rear seal. Got a little bit of orange here. I don't know if that's a little bit of sign of antifreeze or what, but these should have orange antifreeze in them, I believe. Now we do have the bolts already all PB blasted up so they're soaking so we can get the exhaust nuts and stuff loose so we don't break them. Now if these things don't turn, we'll heat them up with a torch because if you don't, you'll break that stud right off real easy. So it's got a 246 transfer case in it, GM. It's an auto transfer case. We don't see anything wrong with it. We're going to see if he wants to update the pump and stuff like that as a transfer case because these are bad about the pump fingers cutting through the case. So, and being that this is a magnesium case, it's kind of hard to get them welded or anything here in town. We can't do it. We've tried to get the material to do it, and it's just really hard to do. So we just replace the case and we do the upgraded kit for the pump. So we got a lot of things to do. I'm excited. I'm going to try to make a video on getting this thing out and turn it down, stuff like that too. So y'all stay tuned. Richard back at you. We got Jordy's 06 Chevy pickup here ready to pull out all the way from Louisiana. I'm excited to do it for him. I swear, anybody drive that far for me to work on their vehicle, I tell you what, I'm going to give them a heck of a job. So we got a little bit of rear main seal leak we're going to address like that. It had no codes. The only code it had was an evap code in it. So basically it's going to be a mechanical fault that's going down. He said the tranny is really weak. It ain't gone out, but it's just really weak. So it's going to be a job. Let's get this thing out. So I know my tools. Now I'm going to take the drive shaft out real quick first. You're not going to be able to see me do it. I've already got some of the bolts taken out, like the exhaust manifold nuts on there. Some of them were stuck and we couldn't get loose. Even though we soaked them for a couple of hours, they still wouldn't come loose. So what we do is we get a torch and we just heat one side of the nut up on the stud and it'll physically release it then. That way it don't do any damage. You don't twist the stud off in the manifold or anything like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and get the last one. Get my glasses on really quick and we're going to go ahead and light this torch. We're going to just really bring it on lightly. And then we're going to bring it up just to, because I want to get up here and get it hot quick and get out. So I'm just going to come up here. I'm going to get one side of the nut bright red. Now I've already got all the other ones off. 3 of them on this side I had to do, and the rest of them they physically come loose. So, but if you just heat one side up like that, normally they'll come right loose. To get this wobble off here and see if I can hit it straight on. Okay, it come loose. Now I'm not going to take it all the way off because we're going to do some other things first. Just try to get everything situated where I can get going on this thing. Okay, let's get some of these covers off here first. I like to put all my bolts where I can Get to them real simple and easy. Get this torch turned off real quick and get it out of the way. Kind of push it to the side real quick. Okay, now let's get some fluid out of this thing real quick, out of this transfer case. That's some pretty dark stuff right there, guys. Now this fluid can be blue or it can be red. We go back with the blue style, and we've used the red too. They're both compatible with each other. So, but GM's is physically blue. I really like these orange gloves too. I'm really wearing these a lot because they just don't tear and they give you a pretty good grip on them. So, on everything that you do, really impressed there. So it's really nice. Thanks for the gloves, definitely, because I have physically been using them. Okay. Now this does have a kit on it here that we're going to get off here for the lift kit. Okay. Let's just pull this out. And then what we do is we just stick them down like this. Put the bolt in where the nut is. That way you don't lose and get them mixed up. That one's not going to come down without a little bit of persuasion. Down like that. Try to keep my bolts and stuff. Got a bunch of tools laid over here, so I didn't have to go back and forth to my cart. I got me a new cart set up. Kind of give me a little bit of ease on having to move my tools back and forth from R&R into building and stuff. So, but this is a little tool we use right here. This thing here works really good on getting our O2 sensors out and stuff like that. It's called a crow's foot. I got a metric set and a standard set, and I mean it just locks on there really good. You can just slide it over it, and I like my angle ratchet right here. I can lock it any direction if I want to lock it right there. Or excuse me, right. Got to turn it. I can lock it that direction. I can lock it that direction. You know, any way, and it lets me get in there and get to the O2 sensors and stuff like that. So that's a really nice ratchet I have. But this whole exhaust system has to come out, so it's a pretty good job to get this unit out. I'm going to try to get it out as fast as I can. Get all the O2s that are loose. We're going to get this last O2 right here. I had to put a pipe wrench on these, on the end of this, to get these to pop loose, but I did finally get them all out. I don't know why they put these bolts in backwards, because this bolt usually hits the exhaust right here and it makes it a little tougher to get out. So, let me get a little screwdriver. Spark converter bolt covers off. Like that. Okay. Looks good there. Grab my other wobble. I'm going to get these 15mm bolts off right, or nuts off right here that hold the exhaust pipes together. Oops. Gravity's R&R guy's best friend. Got that off there. Get this drive shaft out of here. Get my paint. We always mark our drive shafts. I'd like to put them back in the way they come out. We're just really bad about that. Just have good luck that way. Don't have any issues. So let's have an aluminum drive shaft. You want to definitely check all the U-joints and stuff like that in there. Look at the yoke. Don't have no issues. Okay. get my 7/16 really quick, or 11 work just fine. Kind of crazy how somebody can love R&R and transmissions and love building them as much as me and Trent do. We enjoy doing high performance stuff. We like to make things better than what they used to be. That's our goal, number one goal. So hopefully that wasn't too loud, but sometimes I just love the sound of air. So we got our cover off that protects our wiring and our servo from the heat of the exhaust. That's what that cover there was. Okay, let's get a transmission mount nuts off up in here. Both of them. Got them over here. Now we'll get our cross member bolts. Get that out of there. Come on. All that dirt on there don't want to come off. I'm gonna move this out. Well, let me move it back over here. I'm gonna move it a little closer to get out of my way. See if I can get that off there. There we go. Let's see if we can get these loose.
Yeah, that's yours.
Okay, we're gonna leave the two bolts in right now. We got our drive shaft here in the front unhooked. We've got our strap right here that holds the boot to the transfer case. We'll put another one of them on there. When you take them off, it destroys them. We'll try to get our little boot pushed off a little bit. How to get it work, because usually they get stuck on there pretty good. You got to kind of massage them to get them, they'll slide off. There we go. Okay. Come on. Always got to be something to make you earn your money. Just don't want to pop over. There we go. Thing needs to be greased when we put it back in because it does not like sliding on those splines in that transfer case. It's supposed to be pretty dry, or the grease is just dried up. Yeah, the grease is just totally dried up on that. Definitely want to check all the U-joints and stuff. Let me check my camera because I kicked it. Still looks pretty good. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the torque converter bolts and stuff out. We're going to come up here and get our oil sensor unplugged. And then we're going to find my 10mm wobble. And then we're going to take the 10mm bolt for the cover off right here, the protective cover. Keeps trash from getting in there. And then we're going to take our starter bolts off. Get my 13. Now, before we start, we do a computer check on these. We disconnect the battery and then we pull the oil dipstick tube out of the motor. When we do that, it lets us slide the starter back, and there's a nub here on the block that's really hard to get the starter past. But when you move the oil dipstick tube, you can physically push it out of the way. Makes it so much easier to work on. So we got our cover here, protective cover, keeps trash from getting out of it. Now we'll come in here, we'll unplug with our hand, we'll unplug the crank sensor. And then we're going to work this starter out of here just a little bit to get it down. It's a job, you just gotta twist it and it will come down. Trent likes to move them plumb out of the way. I can get an impact up in there pretty good and get to it. So and there it is right there. This is my special torque converter impact right here. That's a straight shot thing. It just works so good. It's got a lot of power. This is my only tool I just about use this thing on only. Get my light in here where I can see a little bit better. Still got the original Loctite on the bolts. It looks like, doesn't look like it's probably ever been out, so that's really nice that this unit's never been played with. So. I really enjoy switching off R&R and building. Kind of kills the monotony a little bit when you've been doing it as long as I've been doing it. And we stick Trent back here and let him build some. Keep him sharp. Alright, so this little impact works really nice, guys. When they got that thing, us doing torque converter bolts, we're not wanting to do them come to an end, especially on Dodge diesels and stuff like that. Okay, let's see where we're at. Get that where I want it. This will be our last bolt here. Come on. There we go. So these bolts are a little different. They got a 15mm head on them, and then they have an Allen head on them, you can see. So if you strip this part or strip the center, you got another option. So the earlier kind just had an Allen, and they had issues stripping out, and we couldn't get them out, so they kind of went to a double style bolt, so a little different. So we got all the torque converter bolts out. I'm gonna look at the converter and flywheel spacing. I mean, with this converter here, it's definitely got to have some shims behind it. It's about the same as the last one I did, about 1/4 inch away, and we want to take up that 1/8 inch slack. So we'll look at the pump gear when we tear this unit down too, and show you the where the pump's been wearing on the converter hub from the spacing not being correct. Now, even though it's a factory, doesn't look like it's ever been messed with, they could do better. So, but we can when we put it back, everything will be the way it needs to be. So we are putting a boost valve in this thing, so we're going to be upping the pressure and all that type of stuff. So we definitely want it the pump aligned on the converter hub correctly. So okay, we got our torque converter bolts out. Starter's good where it's at. Everything looks good there. We've got our exhaust all loose. Transfer case drained. Cross mirror bolts out. The O2 sensors all disconnected. Shifter cable loose. Everything like that. So we're in really good shape. Let me kind of move some stuff off this cart because we're going to be using it next to set the transfer case in and stuff like that. So we'll get this cleared off a little bit. So here we have our cart. We'll be setting the transfer case in again because we're going to be going through it too. Because I can tell you with this kind of mileage on this truck, that pump's already started cutting through that housing right here, and we don't want to ruin that magnesium housing. So it's a cheap fix to do it now while you can before it starts failing. Now I'll get this out today. We'll do a video on it when we tear it down. I'm not sure if it'll be a day or in the morning. Then I'll build this back in the morning. We have all the parts here to fix these. We keep thousands of dollars in parts. Since the viruses come, I find I'm hunting parts down like crazy from everywhere, and I'm just buying them. If we don't do that, we're going to not be able to do these jobs because we're just struggling getting parts from this place, and this place. So I'm just using a lot of variation of places and just piling parts up so we can get these jobs out for these people that's coming in from a long ways away. So I sure do miss something. If you know what I mean. But it is what it is. So we got our exhaust all loose. We got one nut on it right there so it doesn't fall down and hit me. We pulled it off right here. That way it's out of the exhaust pipe going to the rear. We got it all jacked up. We'll plumb out of the way. And now I'm going to take that last nut off there and I'm going to bring this thing down. Make sure, double check O2 is off. And I'll take this nut out there. Set it on, well, set it over here. And then I can take this down by myself. This only weighs 15 pounds. So I'm still in the limits. You always want to replace this ring right here. How you doing? You got the Trent's inside. You have to go talk to him real quick. Knock on the door. Now what we're going to do, we're going to come down and let the transfer case just set right here on this frame and move this plumb out of the way so we can get to the rest of the pieces and take them off. Okay. I'm going to try to move this out of the way. I'm going to move the camera every time, kind of give you guys a little bit different angle. Hopefully I don't mess it up too bad. Maybe you can see a little bit there. Try to get to this linkage over here. Now there's a little retainer right here that holds the cable in. It's just a little U-shaped piece. take out a little metal piece like this. You always want to put that back in there, that way your cable can't jump out of its slot. And then you have to push 2 deals right here to unlock the cable, and then push it through like that. So now we're going to just bend this bracket over. It's easier to bend it than it is to take it off. Don't take a second to just to bend it a hair. Don't damage it. You can put it back in 5 seconds. So now this neutral safety switch has a little lock you pull out, and then when you pull the release, it automatically pushes it out and unhooks it. Can you see that, guys? What I do is you can put that back on there. Get that out of the way. When you push that back in, it pulls it back in all by itself. Get that up there, like that. You pull it out, it pushes it off. Pretty simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this O2 sensor off. That's why it's not hitting me in the head. Get out of the way. Move this one over there. We got our shift cable. Now we got a little 8mm bolt up there that holds the linkage on. Or excuse me, not the linkage, but the wiring harness to the side of the tranny. So you want to get that next. There's a little bitty 8mm bolt. Put that there. Now we got that all loose. The neutral safety switch is loose. Now we got to get in here and start on connecting all of our speed sensors on our transfer case. So we've got one there. We're going to have one over here. And then we're going to have another one over here. So it's physically 3 of them that you have to unhook. Now there is some bolts here too that hold the wiring harness to the transfer case, and we need to take those out. So I'm going to try to get in here real quick. Okay, that's one of them right there. I check my camera, make sure it's still working. Good, guys. Okay. Trent told me to keep checking that because you just never know. And of course we have another one right here towards the bottom right here that also holds holds the same wiring harness, but there is 2 bolts there that hold that. So set this over there, kind of like a little table. Okay. Now we're going to pull our lock out of our wiring harness that plugs into the motor of the transfer case. There's a little plastic lock that you have to push out. Like that, and then you're supposed to squeeze that, and you know how that is. There you go, just like that. So now the motor's unhooked. Now we're going to come up here, we're going to pop our vent out of the transfer case. It's just a little 90-degree right here. It'll pop right out. Okay. There we go. That's done. Move the cable out of the way just for a little bit. Now let's look inside this thing in the pan and see what it looks like. We got our transfer case drained. Now let's drain the transmission. Now we're still going to drain it from the front. By the way, our bracket right there, it's always in the way no matter how you look at it. So I'll get a few of these out before I turn the corner. Nice and dark. Okay. Now you can see how dark the fluid is on this and all the trash on the magnet. It doesn't smell burn up yet, but let me tell you, this thing's on its way. It has that little scorch smell to it and stuff, so we'll get our filter off. It does have the right filter, and believe me, look how that thing looks. Can you guys see that? That thing is totally plugged up. So, okay, we got our filter off. We're gonna put our pan back on. Put it up under that bracket. And we're gonna come here and wipe it off so it doesn't drip in my hair. Don't want to mess my hair up. It is 20 to 4. 20 to 4. I got my little 4L60 in my Travelers from Colorado. Got that in and done. Got the transfer case all rebuilt, put back in. Turned out really nice. Oh, okay. Now we're going to get some of these transfer case bolts loose. We're going to come in here and grab this little thing. And we're going to try with this. See what I can do. Find all my wobbles and sockets and stuff. What do I do with them? I hope y'all enjoy our videos as much as we enjoy making them. Let me see what I can get here. I think I can get one. There's one. There's two. So we're doing pretty good there. So we can come over here and get a couple. Now there is a bracket over here on this side that holds the vent hose and all that type of stuff you want to get. You have to put on, take off. So keeps all the hoses out of the front drive shaft and stuff like that. It's a real critical bracket. So there's a lot of bracketry on these things to keep everything in the right places so it don't really bounce around a lot and touch the exhaust. And a lot of tight quarters, basically. Hey Trent, would you check my camera for me, sir, and make sure that's working good?
Sounds like you're about to get on park over here.
Well, I'm trying to get her done today.
Hey, man, you're moving the camera around, you're on different angles.
Well,
I like that.
It helps. I'm letting everybody see what we got going on.
Yeah, definitely. Everything looks to be working good.
Yep. Everything's disconnected there.
Hope y'all guys enjoy. He loves doing it. We love doing it. Making the videos. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our jack under the tranny. And we are about to pull the transfer case out. I have to turn my jack just a little bit like that. That way I can put the basket over the wheel. And then we're going to pull this bolt. Oop. Get off there. I wasn't expecting to do that so quick. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. At least you had the drain part.
Yep. Yeah, let me get my nice little rag. Now, I got a lot to brag about on these gloves guys. These things really work good. I'm really impressed with them. I built the whole tranny with them. The air blower didn't blow a hole in them. I never cut them. They work really good. They're about to fall off there.
Well, you're strapped to your wire.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Cool.
Okay. So we're good here. We should be able to just pick this up.
You sure we're disconnected this time?
I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you if we're not. It's your turn.
Okay. Let's take this bad boy out of here.
Let's do it. Ready?
It's 77 degrees today. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, it's warm.
But it'll be 20 tomorrow. There's our 246 GM transfer case, guys.
Sweet.
Now we are going to go through this too. Trent, if you want to call Raymond and get a seal kit coming for that,
Okay.
the shift fork inserts,
Okay.
and get our pump protector.
Saver, case saver.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That way we have everything here. Now what I like to do when we have something like this, if I can, I'll stick this little 2x4 in here and kind of support that motor a little bit. Now I'm not going to do it all the time, but it'll give me some room to get in here and get to some of this stuff and get this jack out of my way.
The engine
The-
walked through a spider web.
Transmission lines, get the clips out of there and stuff. See if I got my... I'll be back in 5 seconds. Let me run back here and get a scribe so I can pull them clips out. There it is, waiting on me to grab. Knew I was coming. Okay, we're back. Now what we're doing is we're popping off these little plastic retainers that hold these clips in. You want to be really careful not break them. If you ever break one, you can use a tie strap to go around it and hold it on. That way they don't pop off. But never leave one blank. If you do, it could pop off real easy. They're not designed to do that. There's one of our clips. There's two of our clips on the floor. Okay. Now I'm going to, let me see how far my jack goes. My jack goes high enough, then I won't have to let the vehicle down to get to the top bolts. There's a top center bolt on the bell housings of these that if you don't let it down just enough, it's almost impossible to get to. Okay, my jack won't reach, so I'm just going to let it down for just a second, guys. Flip it back. I'm going to take my 2x4 out now. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to lean it down just a little farther. Because let me tell you, there's a stud up there with a nut on it that is really hard to get to. Oops. Like I say, gravity's an R&R guy's worst enemy. But it is what it is. And like I say, all of our tools get so oily and slimy that it's hard to even hang on with the good gloves. But these work really good. I'm telling you, this is probably the best glove that I've seen that everybody has sent me when it comes to the ruggedness of it. Come on. Okay. Now we got the nut off right there, but what we got is a the vent hose for the transfer case and the transmission goes all the way to the top up there. That way water can't get into it and mess it up. So you got to get way up in there with your hands and stuff to get up in there to get that stuff. So. Very hard to do it at home. These are really tough to do at home. So now we have our dipstick nut, basically the same style. It's on a stud. Little 13 millimeter nut. Okay. Now right here on your fuel lines, there's another 13 millimeter nut that's on a stud that keeps your fuel lines and stuff from shaking. You always want to put that back in. Every 90% of the ones I get in here, that thing, they didn't do nothing. See, it's got a little 13 nut, but you can grab this fuel line and jerk it and pull it off, just like that. Get it out of the way. It's not the easiest, but it is out of the way. Okay, now we got everything off on the 13 millimeter bolts, or nuts, excuse me, that's holding in the brackets and stuff on. So now we're gonna basically come in here and pop our dipstick tube out of the way. That's out of the way. We're gonna jack it up a little bit to get our cooler lines straight, so we can possibly pop them out of the cooler lines where they're straight, not leaning down. That way it pulls them out easy, just like that. So there's that. Now we'll pull our vent hose off of our transmission. It should just pull off. You can kind of grab it, and it's in the way, but you can just kind of move it out of the way like that. So mainly make sure everything's disconnected. It is, looks really good. We're going to grab our 15 millimeter deep, and we are going to start taking this thing apart. Or taking it out, excuse me. We've been taking it apart for an hour. Now let's take it out. Got our bolt with our stud. It stays up in there most of the time. Got that one. Bolt with the stud. Bolt with a stud. Now just because they have a stud on them don't mean they have a wire or anything on them, because GM put them everywhere and they don't. So I'll try to get this out of my way again. Bolts with studs on them here, but one of them was a bolt with a stud but had nothing hooked to it, no nut or anything on it. So here we are. We got all the bell housing bolts out. Everything's disconnected. But most of these trannies are really tight on the motor. You got to pry them off. They just don't come off. So let's see how this comes off here. It's coming off not too shabby. Actually come right off. Looks really nice. Dipstick tube is out all the way. Gonna kind of bring her down just to slowly grab our stick, make sure it's not, or our tube, make sure it's not going to do anything and hurt me. Everything's disconnected really nice. Slowly bring her down again. Unplug the tranny. Here we go. Okay, got a nice wasp's nest up here, or a hornet's mud dauber hole or whatever. Lift it up with air. Okay, there's our tranny. Looks all original, doesn't look like it's ever been apart. Get this flywheel off really quick, that way we can verify our rear main seal before I leave. That way we can get everything ordered in time. That way we don't have no issues with anything. Got there 15, yes sir.
God.
Hey,
That
it works.
working today.
I don't think there's no Loctite on that.
Yeah.
He's got Loctite. That other one I don't think it had any on. I think that's why it just shot it out. All of them got Loctite on them.
Don't worry, I got eye on it.
Okay. First we get our flywheel off. We don't want to jump around, just look at the teeth, look at everything, looks good. So we don't miss nothing there. That's how we do it here, because we don't look at it right there, we can skip something and miss it real easy. So, of course our rear main seal is leaking a little bit. It looks like to me it's probably coming more out of the cover. So we'll put a new cover gasket, rear main seal on there, clean it all up really nice. And get this tranny back in. I'm a bit excited. Well, 77 degrees today. Kicked the old man in the butt a little bit, but it was exciting to get her down. I enjoy R&R and stuff like that. So we're gonna get this tranny back there and get it tore down. So y'all stay tuned. Next episode coming. Have a good day.